Good afternoon, everyone. This is Scott James, soon to be Scott James Christopher Madden. As the firstborn and the only son, the apple that didn't fall too far from the tree, this little fella has a lot of expectations to live up to. His father, James Henry Madden III, was himself the only boy, making this chip off the old block the only one to carry on the Madden name. So Scottie Jim has a lot of weight on those tiny little shoulders, wouldn't you agree? But just like his father before him, he'll be expected to carry that weight with an aplomb and a nonchalance and a savoir-faire and a few other highfalutin words that make the speaker seem either presumptuous or articulate, right? Depending on the crowd. Oh, and speaking in the third person, that's going to become as natural as standing before you today. I love my father, and so does everyone else. Our house was forever going to be a refuge for just about everyone, but particularly young men, who each idolized my father over even their own. The alpha dog of one of these teenage wolf packs was a young man by the name of Les, who not only wanted to spend every waking moment basking in my father's glow, but he was also my babysitter. He would do anything for Big Jim. I was constantly hearing how grateful I should be to have my father as my father. I mean, let's be real. He is going to be a tough act to follow. He didn't just light up a room, he commanded it. He played it like a Stradivarius or a Stratocaster, again, depending on the crowd. Everyone was constantly looking forward to the day where I would step up and step in and carry on my father's legacy. It was my rightful place. And it fit me about as well as the pretty pink rain boots that I traded one rainy afternoon with my bestie Susie, who lived next door. It was actually Susie's idea. She was completely jealous of my black and yellow striped fireman's rain boots. But I was smitten by the shiny pinkness of hers, despite them being almost 2 sizes too big. We were just two happy little girls, reveling in a win-win situation, giggling, rolling on my bedroom floor amid a scattered pile of toys and stuffed animals, and life was just right. Until Les, the babysitter, appeared as if from out of nowhere. What the hell is going on? Susie immediately jams her feet underneath the bed to hide them. I don't know what we've possibly done wrong, but fear and shame is all over her face, so I follow her lead. The next thing I know, I'm being dragged from underneath the bed and thrown into the air. Pink boots? Those are for girls! Now, I don't know this at the time, but Les is going to go on to make me his personal mission. Yep. Good old Les is going to save Big Jim's son from herself. And over the next couple of years, he makes it horrifyingly clear. There's something really wrong with me. Each night I would pray to God, God, please give me back my body. They all think that I'm supposed to be a boy. It never worked. Now the whole world and even God is on Les's side, including the mirror. Look at you. Ugh. Everyone says that you are all boy. I stopped looking in the mirror. I couldn't take its lies. But the truth of me was getting swallowed by supposed to be. Oh yeah. I've had a supposed to be list since before I could remember. Supposed to go to be good in school. Supposed to take care of my little sisters. Supposed to be good in sports. Supposed to go to college. Supposed to make my parents proud. Supposed to fall in love, marry, and carry on the Madden name. But according to Les, I am not supposed to tell anyone that I'm really a girl. I mean, what would my father say? Well, he said plenty. I mean, after all, he was born in Brooklyn. He was a car salesman and a bartender who had served in the Navy and a submarine. He had a saying for everything. When I got too emotional, He would say, if you're going to cry like all the other Mary Janes, go put on a dress. Les is right. Les is right. My father is on his side. So I stopped crying forever. And I threw myself into being that boy that everybody believed me to be. But how? I mean, I have no idea how to think like a boy. They totally mystify me. They like to run in packs. So I started running with the boys. But life in the wolf pack is rough. And I found myself in places no girl ever wants to be, like the time that I'm suddenly the stand-in for what the 13-year-old birthday boy would do to a girl if he suddenly had one right here. All the boys thought it was really funny when my jacket was ripped open, I was thrown up against the tree, the birthday boy's hands pawing at my chest like I'm some sort of rabid dog. Boys' laughter grew even louder when the red-hot flush of shame and embarrassment wouldn't leave my face. And all I could think was, what would my father say? His all-time favorite go-to saying was, lead, follow, or get the hell out of the way. Sure, I mean, the pack likes to follow the leader. If I'm in charge, I call the shots. And that crap never happens to me again. And it was working. So I went all in. Student body president, captain of this group, chairman of that one. The success thingy became my armor. I made the varsity football team as a sophomore, a whole year early. College scouts were watching me from the stands. I must be doing okay. I'm living up to expectations. All while living in a private hell. Nobody knows that I'm involved in a daily fight to the death with an invisible assailant that you would probably call panic attacks. I just called the hijacker. I tried to erase each assault from my memory, even as it was trying to tear me apart, gambling that it would just go away. Imagine trying to act as if nothing at all is wrong as someone is hammering iron spikes into your flesh one by one while you're being dragged through fire. I'm not exaggerating. You can't breathe, you're sweating all the time, and you're all alone. One thought constantly tortures you, worming its way into every single thought that you have. You are a girl, but you can't be one. You are a girl, but you can't be one. The hijacker lurked on the outside edge of every one of my waking thoughts, but once a month, I had to brace myself for a full-on attack. These attacks would last 3 to 4 days until I could actually wrest my mind out of its tentacles. Then I would take over the beat down for the next couple of days because, why not? You could have stopped this, but you didn't. You should have stopped this last time, but again, you didn't. You would have stopped this if you weren't so weak. What would your father say? Oh, you mean the guy that thinks that second place is actually just the first loser? Oh, I know what he would say. Coulda, shoulda, woulda are the 3 adjectives of a loser. But I'm no loser. And Daddy, those aren't adjectives. But seriously, check me out. Supposed to do well in school. Check. Supposed to look after my little sisters. Check. Supposed to do good at sports. Football, basketball, baseball. Check, check, check. Supposed to go to college. Work in progress. What's next? Supposed to make my parents proud. Yeah, mostly check. When my mother passed away, my father lost his everything. And that day that everyone had all been looking forward to for all of my life came. I stepped up and I stepped in for my father and I held him up and my sisters as we all got through our grief. And my father was grateful. So that counts, right? Check. What was the last one? Supposed to fall in love. Yeah, luckily love fell on me, as my father would say, like a ton of bricks. There was a pearl of light that would dance on my lips after every one of Marcy's kisses. Not even that stopped gender dysphoria. But 30 years ago, on a spring afternoon, just this April 29th, we were married. And I became that guy, that romantic king that made all of Marcy's dreams come true. I invented new ways every day to celebrate her love and our marriage. And no, Mars had no idea that I was locked in a daily cage fight with my lifelong enemy. Let's be clear. Gender dysphoria is the trauma and the destruction that's caused by trying to suppress your identity that manifests itself in real physical pain and suicide. The hijacker that is gender dysphoria is a fire that lights itself of fear and shame and confusion, and it wants to consume you, every last bit of you. It was 2009. My career is on fire. I am rising through the manly man, testosterone-fueled world of survival reality television. I'm on my way to becoming a showrunner. I'm finally making good money. I'm able to buy Mars her dream house in the hills. And the hijacker hasn't left after his customary 3 days, but has instead laid siege to me for over 2 weeks. This entire time, I haven't slept, I haven't eaten, I haven't done anything except pretend to be okay. I am hiding that I'm hyperventilating. An elephant has decided that my chest is its love seat. I am too scared to ask anyone for help, too freaked out that this is not going away this time. It's a cool, dark Saturday morning. Marcy opens a sleepy eye to stare at the wraith of her husband standing at the foot of her bed holding 2 steaming cups of coffee. And she checks the clock. My love, it's 5 a.m. I have no idea how I got here. I don't remember making the coffee. And I think the technical term for what I did next is called vomiting. The truth of me and the hijacker and everything all at her feet. I have never had any intention of ever saying any of this out loud. I am desperately trying to take back every single word as it flies out of my mouth. I was going to take this to my grave, but my heart has seen a crack of daylight in the dungeon walls, and it is not stopping. What would my father say? Actually, I would never know. When my father passed away, his position as the patriarch in the family was largely ceremonial. He lived out the last of his days surrounded by his children and his new granddaughter, and he'd said all he was going to say. But if I had to guess, I'm betting he would go with one of his old standbys. Well, you can go up in the saddle or tied across it, Jesse James, but one thing's for sure, you're going riding. So Marcy and I saddled up. 3 months after I came out to Mars, she was diagnosed with ovarian cancer. We put me aside while we got her well. And in that time, we realized the truth of who I was and who she was and who we were, and it was love. And love evolves, and love grows, and love does not run. Spoiler alert, Mars had to do most of the heavy lifting. Her dream marriage was on the line too, and she was not going down without a fight. People said I was selfish, that I had done this to her, but she saw it differently. She saw that I had desperately tried to hang on until the very last moment, preserving her dream marriage. I had been anything but selfish. She realized she wasn't in love with a gender. That's not love. That's called lust. No, she was in love with a soul, a person, me. And no amount of lipstick was going to change that. But now I had some heavy lifting on my own to do. For 20 years, I knew how to live up to her expectations as her husband. I didn't have the first clue of how to be a wife that she would want. I mean, what my father say? He loved to say that the last 4 letters of American is I can. And eventually we did. And just last August, Marcy put a new diamond ring on my finger and made it official. I always knew I was really supposed to be called daughter. I was really supposed to be called sister and aunt and niece. Nothing prepared me for how magical it would be to be called her wife. And I never dreamed, though, that I would be called her widow. When she left this world, though our love was complete, in no way was it finished. She made me promise that I would continue our legacy of living with light and laughter and love. She said I was just the girl for the job because our journey had taught me some things. I know that I had had to agree to live up to the expectations of others. So I can't blame them for setting the bar so low. But living up to my father's expectations did lead me to Marcy and to true love and to the place where I could now start living up to my own. I am the woman I am today because the bottom line of all the things that my father said to me is this: he expected me to expect better of myself, to be strong, to stand up, and be his daughter. Finally, I am who I'm supposed to be. Of all the things my father said to me, my go-to is also lead, follow, or get the hell out of the way. All my life growing up, I always thought that what he was really trying to tell me was to just focus on the lead part, and he was just paying lip service to the other two. It took me all this time to realize that what he was really trying to tell me all that time was that the key to my life is to lead, follow, or get the hell out of the way of my own heart. Thank you.